Thank you all for joining us. This is Two Pop Media. We have a very special day for you. We have with us
Scott Slone.
Scott Sloan. Clearly, that's not Scott Sloan. That's Faith Creech. But we
Oh
do
no, I
have with
think
us
who do you have with
Scott
us?
Sloan from Malibu Horror Story, and we're going to bring him in. We're going to have a conversation. We're going to talk about his film. We're going to talk about the inspirations, the direction that it's going, everywhere that it's been, to include the festival that we have with Freedom Festival International. I love this film.
It was so good.
It means something when even after like a year or two or whatever, like it's still fresh in our minds. It baffles me as to how this film is not like seen by the masses already. When we saw it, we literally had to stop the film about 10 to 20 times
No,
and go, wait, this is an indie film? Like, wait, I don't understand.
we
Like,
did. Drew and I watch all the films submitted, and
yeah,
we do like the first round of vetting. And Malibu Horror Story was the last film that we watched, and we were like, okay, horror movie, and we like put it in, and we're like 30 minutes in. We stopped and looked at each other. We were like, did this really happen? And we started Googling. We were like, "Bloop," and it was amazing. At the end of it, we looked at each other. We were like, that was like one of the best movies. That was really
seriously.
good.
Seriously, it caught me way off guard.
Thank you,
So,
guys.
without further ado, let's go ahead and bring him in, and uh, let's see. Let's do it this way. We'll put ourselves there, and you tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your film. On you.
How you guys doing? First of all, just thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Again, thank you for screening at the Freedom Fest. I really appreciate that as well. But my name is Scott Sloan. I'm the writer, director, and one of the producers on Malibu Horror Story. And I'm from Los Angeles, California, but I did live in South Carolina. Shout out South Carolina. So I've lived a lot of places, but shout out Florence, Charleston, Columbia, a couple places I've hung out before. So
I'm gonna let you take the questions away.
Okay,
Y'all already
awesome.
been having a great conversation, so go ahead.
We have. So you told me that it took you 10 years to make Malibu Horror Story, and watching it, and like you said, seeing the credits, I believe that because your credits were like we asked immediately after watching it, like, what was the budget? Because that's incredible, the amount of people that worked on the film. So tell us about that 10-year process, and like, why did
yeah,
it take
so
10 years and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so basically, it was 2009. I was in a theater here in LA watching Paranormal Activity. Paranormal Activity, a lot of people don't know this. It went out to festivals in 2007. It took 2 years before it even got to theaters. Paranormal Activity had a kind of a long road to get there, but when it hit theaters, I was one of those people in theaters around Halloween. I think it was Halloween in particular, and I watched the movie, and when I left the theater, I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, this reminded me of Blair Witch, like big time. And
Yeah.
I wasn't super old when Blair Witch came out, but I was old enough. Plus, I had just moved from Maryland, very close to Burkittsville, very close to those woods. So Blair Witch was really impactful for me as a kid. So when I got out of paranormal, I was like, man, I think this could bring back that kind of wave of this found footage kind of POV camera movie. So I went home, I started writing, and I was like, I need something quick, I need something easy, I need something cheap. Like, it literally just started off like that. Like, I was dying to do something. Everything I had done before was on film, and digital had just came out, like literally digital cameras, like the Canon 5D, the 7D. People were showing me those, and I had just shot my last film with Richard Roundtree. It was called Retreat, and that was on 35 millimeter. And I was used to kind of bigger, kind of more technical type shooting, and someone showed me a digital camera, and they were like, hey, you could shoot a whole movie on this, it looks pretty good. So I did some camera tests, and I was like, you know what, you're kind of right. And so I literally spent a couple months writing, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to do this for a 50K. I was like, let's raise 50K. Let's go out there and shoot this movie. And so that's what we did. We raised 50K. We went out, we shot the movie, spent about a year doing so. And it was all found footage, all home video, literally video. Okay, we ended up doing on a Sony AX2000, which is literally one of those like giant video recorders.
Yeah.
And 4K had just came out. No, it wasn't even 4K. It was 1080. 1080 had just came out. That's how long ago this was. Like HD was like a new word. So basically, we went out, we shot that, and we had something, but we didn't really have an ending. So, but we could show it to people and say, hey, what do you think? And everybody's like, hey, you got something there, but you don't have a full product. And so we kind of developed it a little bit more, went out and raised a little bit more money, and then new cameras came out, started shooting on another camera, and then that just kept happening year after year after year, just piece by piece by piece. So when you look at the film now, it's really nothing like what it was when it first started. That very first film that we shot, it was called Malevolent, and only 4 seconds is in the current version of the movie. That 1 hour movie we shot, only 4 seconds in the current version. And then the second version that we shot, it was called the Malibu tapes. And there's only about 35 minutes of that version in the current movie. And so really the way it worked out was over time, we were trying to play the game. Found footage was popular, and then it wasn't all of a sudden. And so, we had some studio attention. We had some executives that were taking notice of the film. And right when all that was happening, found footage kind of died. The box office, it was killing it at the box office. Everybody was seeing these movies. And then we got tired of them pretty quick. It got oversaturated. Everybody made one, and so it died. And so it basically sat there for a couple years. And then the idea was, okay, if people don't want found footage anymore, how do I give it to them differently? And how do I feed them kind of different than they're used to being fed? And so we took what was also popular at the time around 2018 or so, the ghost hunter shows, and like true crime started popping. So when true crime and ghost hunter shows started popping, I was like, okay, this is popular. Everybody likes this. Maybe it's not about like, a true documentary. Maybe these kids are paranormal investigators. And then so that story came about. And so basically we took all that found footage we shot over 10 years, put it inside of a ghost hunter show, put that ghost hunter show inside of a traditional horror film. And so there's confusion because a lot of the reviews and things are like, oh, found footage this, found footage this. It's a hybrid film. It's not a true found footage film anymore. It's a true hybrid. If you watch it, I think straight horror fans that hate found footage will still like this, and I think found footage enthusiasts will love it too. So long process, crazy kind of path, but it's just playing the game. When you're making a movie independently, you got to kind of play the game at the same time. So that's kind of how it was.
Wow, that's a pretty awesome story. How many awards have y'all won?
The festival, we did festivals for about a year and a half. I think we won 69 awards in like 63 festivals. We went to 63 festivals, won 69 awards. So we did pretty good.
Yeah.
We did pretty well.
Yeah, when I was looking at your website or just even your Instagram, I mean, it's just full of winner, winner, winner. I'm like, yes, it deserves it. It's an amazing film. So I know y'all are going to be hitting select theaters soon. You're going to tell everybody when they can expect those announcements for the dates and theaters.
Yes. So the theatrical release date is October 20th, and it's going to be select theaters, a couple hundred theaters across the country. Pretty soon here in the next 2 weeks, probably right around the end of the month, you're going to see a lot of links going out, which is a ticket link, and you're going to punch your zip code in, and hopefully it's playing close to you. So I'm hoping we hit all the regions, all the areas, but and if we do well opening weekend, then it'll expand. So if it is playing near you and you want to go out and see it and support, that'll help us expand the following week. And hopefully, like come Halloween, we're playing in a lot more cities. So I'm hoping it's going to come to you guys in Columbia at Spotlight. Shout out Spotlight, pick up the movie.
We're hoping so too.
That's specifically what I was going to say. If we don't see it in Spotlight, we got to make a way to see it in
I've already
Spotlight.
reached out and said, hey. But if it doesn't, it is going to be in Concord, and I will go see it there too. So.
Absolutely. Did y'all already have a red carpet premiere, or is that going to be included with the distribution, or what?
Yeah, that'll be the night before on the 19th here in LA. Awesome. So the premiere, so we've just been doing the festival thing, and after the festival kind of run was over, it's been about like deliverables for theatrical. Like when when you're delivering for a theatrical release, it's a lot. So trailer, teaser, the movie. The trailer just played last night. We got to see it in theater. It played in front of a movie called Satanic Hispanics. That's out in theaters right now. So the trailer is in theaters right now. And we're hoping to get that expanded to, hopefully your local theater that's playing, say, Saw or The Exorcist. Hopefully you'll see the Malibu Horror Story trailer in front of it.
Ah, nice.
Gotcha. Now with the distributors that you all went through, do you care to talk a little bit about that, your experience dealing with the distributor and stuff like that?
Yeah, Iconic's great. We saw what they did with Terrifier 2. They took again a little indie movie. I mean, a lot of people don't know about Terrifier 2. That was a like Kickstarter Indiegogo film. They raised 250K. They did part 1. They went back to Kickstarter Indiegogo, raised 250K, and ended up making another film. And Iconic picked it up, put it out there in theaters. I was very impressed with the theatrical run they did. They came out on October 6th. Honestly, I thought it would just hit a handful of theaters and kind of go away like most movies nowadays. It's very, very hard to hang in theaters now. We all know that because of streaming. And so when we saw what they did with Terrifier played in the theaters in the United States for over a month.
Yeah.
And it did very well. It did very, very well. And it grew as the weeks went on. And so that's what caught our eye about Iconic. And so, we've been really happy with Iconic. We're very thankful to be with Iconic, and we're hoping that we can kind of replicate a little bit of that theatrical growth like they did with Terrifier.
So it's the same distributors.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. How were you approached about it, or did you look to them, or did they find you?
Yeah, we looked to them. So when we finished the festival run, during a festival run, we got approached by a lot of people, and it's different. If I would have made this movie a year ago and then did a festival run over a year time period, I would have easily just given into a distribution deal pretty quickly. But because there's like a 10-year period here, there's a lot of people's money invested in this. There's a lot of executive producers. A lot of people have come on. It is a situation where you got to be really careful and cautious about who you're going to give the keys to the castle to, so to say. And so Iconic was a strategic and very well thought out decision that we made. And so, yeah, we sought out Iconic because we liked what they did with Terrifier 2. Very impressed by what they did with them.
Yeah, no, they did a really good job with Terrifier 2.
I just saw them on, gosh, I can't remember. It was on an OTT platform. I can't remember, but I saw the Terrifier on there, and it was like a pleasant surprise. I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
To see them in the lineup, like towards the front of the line, made it even cooler. And I'm like, this is a direct, a line of the success that indie films can really have.
Yeah.
Especially once they get a cult following like Terrifier.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
cult following horror films lately, like Black Phone is an indie film, and it blew up in theaters at like box offices like for a couple weeks, I think.
Yeah.
So I think y'all are in a great market. It's a great time of year too. So
Now, will your film be in the theater for a month, or do you know?
So that's the thing. It's a lot different than say it was 10, 20 years ago. 10, 20 years ago, it was, even 5 years ago, probably, a film would hit the theaters, run for a month or two, and then eventually, go to DVD or whatever it is. There's a whole kind of strategy. Now with streaming, it's kind of the Wild West. No one really knows how to play. You're going to see some really big movies with some really big stars go straight to streaming. And you're like, what's going on with this? Yeah. It's because the theatrical market is still kind of rebounding from COVID. We weren't doing so well pre-COVID. The theatrical market wasn't. We were trying to save the theaters out here in LA. I can tell you right now, like the ArcLight, my favorite theater here in LA, still not up and running. So it's like, the theaters are, no one can really predict it. So basically, if we come out in a couple hundred theaters and everybody comes out and supports this indie film and, buys a ticket and, clicks on their zip code, and even people, drive 20, 30 miles to go see it, whatever it may be, that's how you grow. And that's how you really do get more theaters and more theaters. So, if you come out in week 1 and you don't perform well, you might not be there in week 2, you know what I mean? And you might not be there week 3, but if you perform, you can hold a theater for a while. And think about it, with the strike right now, Dune was supposed to come out early November. They pushed Dune to March. So like, there's not going to be a lot of movies coming out between now and say Christmas. You know what I mean? And, unless they get this strike over with, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen really anytime soon. So, a lot of these films, it's different because we got Taylor Swift coming out the week before us. She was so scary that she moved The Exorcist off the date. Exorcist had Friday the 13th, the
Wow.
perfect date ever. Taylor
Right.
said nope. She said nope, and they ran right to the 6th. And so for us, we're gonna have to deal with her eating up a lot of screens, and then other bigger movies like The Exorcist, Killers of the Flower Moon. Scorsese got a movie dropping that day. So what we're hoping is, Exorcist is just again, another sequel, prequel, the Saws, the 10th one. So we're hoping, Malibu Horror Story is kind of new and fresh. So we're hoping people look to that. But again, it's got to be playing in your area, and you got to go see it for us to be able to expand and go to further regions. So we're hoping it holds for as long as possible. We would love to go on theater for as long as possible, because we're not going to be streaming anytime soon. So it's like, this is the time to go see it. I used to tell people before, it's like, go to the festival to go see it. They would always hit me up like, hey, how do I see this? It's like, hey, if we're in a festival near you, go to that festival, because
Yeah.
that's where you're going to see it. And now it's like, go to the theater if it's playing, because that might be the only time you see it for a while.
Now, with the distributors that y'all are going through, and this is something that a lot of independent filmmakers are questioning all the time, is the rights that they have to their films. And they're like, if I go with a distributor, am I going to lose all the rights to my films? Can I still run the festival circuit? Can I still, if I got a opportunity to be distributed overseas or anything like that, can I still have the right to sign a deal with a distributor, that's foreign or anything like that? So, do you find yourself in a similar position?
Definitely. I mean, now again, Wild West, everything's kind of, the rules aren't really clearly written yet, right? So,
Yeah,
for instance, a lot of sales agents, right? Sales reps. They'll pick up your film, they'll represent your film. Well, they've turned now into distributors, and they have their own platforms, right? Their own TVOD, SVOD, right? All these platforms are popping up, and it's kind of easy for everybody to well, easier for everybody to maybe distribute a film now. So rights can go multiple ways, especially when you talk about foreign release versus streaming versus theatrical. Right now, we have it set up where Iconic's got theatrical, and then we're still open for our foreign and our streaming. So when it comes to rights, right now there's a big team on this movie. I've got producing partners. Everybody pitches in. It's like I was saying earlier. It's not, when you first start out and you're just making a little indie movie, it's like your movie. The bigger it gets and the more people that comes on, it's a million people's movie. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then it becomes like a collective, collaboration decision. It's no longer your decision. So there's a lot of things that are out of my control that I'm fine with on this particular piece. But yeah, over the years, the way it grows, it's you got to start thinking about those things. But it all depends. If you sign with someone for worldwide rights, they've got foreign, they've got streaming, they've got this. So there's different deals for this one right here. This is Iconic, strictly doing North American theatrical.
cool. And are there any prospects in the future for online distribution? Do they do the same thing, or do you have anyone for that specific?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So we've been in talks with a lot of people. We're just holding out off on that while we do the North American theatrical. Yeah. So for
Step at a
instance, like,
time.
Yeah,
yeah, one step at a time. Because like, we really want to put a lot of effort into foreign release too, in particular Latin America.
yeah,
So like for us, there's definitely just stages to this. I mean, I think this will be going on for another six months probably, of steps of release. So for me, I can definitely say that you know the one step at a time approach is the way we're going right now. It's a handful for us just to get it prepped for theaters. You know what I mean? It's so much work just for that. So
Yeah.
we're gonna do the theaters first, then we'll start worrying about subtitling the film in 100 different languages, and then we'll start worrying about the streaming.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, do you have any other good questions?
I mean, it's just an honor to meet you, man. I mean, to be completely honest with you, like I said, this is. I mean, I consider you as a. You may not be like a native, that everybody knows right now. But I like to say that just having roots at all here in our area, like people that says a lot about the growth that people have from this area, because
Yeah.
that's inspiration for other people that are in this
And
area
he
trying to
was a
get to where you
background
are.
actor in a lot of films here in South Carolina too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing I will say just briefly about South Carolina is like, I moved from Baltimore to South Carolina. It was a culture shock for me for sure as a kid. And it took a while to kind of get used to the ways, because I lived in Florida a little bit too, similar to South Carolina. But I will say, when I was in high school, I had a teacher. Her name was Miss Webster. Shout out Miss Webster. But she took me to a set called Forces of Nature. It was a Ben Affleck, Sandra Bullock movie. They were shooting it right there
Oh
at
yeah.
south of the border. I think it's called Dillon, South Carolina, North
Yeah.
Carolina. We used to drive there to buy alcohol back in the day, but on Sundays or whatever it was. But anyways, like a lot of movies came through. I would drive to Wilmington to work on Dawson's Creek. That was a huge show when I was in high school. I worked on Coal Mountain, In Crowd, all these things in Charleston. And it's like you had to seek out those things, and like things are still going on, but you got to like do whatever it takes to get on those sets. And, all these things, I'm PAs. I'm doing whatever they want me to do. I'm a runner. I'm a production assistant. I'm working 15, 16 hours, not complaining, doing whatever I can to work on these. So I will say, when I moved there, I thought there was zero opportunity, to be honest with you guys. I came from Baltimore. I've been living a lot in the suburb of Orlando. I was mostly focused on basketball at the time, and I just didn't think there was much opportunity in South Carolina. And then I talked with the film commission. They set me up in Charleston, and I started to realize, like, you just got to put forth the effort there. So if anybody's out there in South Carolina right now, like I said, there is a film community there. You just got to put forth the effort, reach out, and just, keep pounding the pavement, because they just kept hiring me and hiring me and hiring me. I mean, I passed on the Legend of Bagger Vance job, The Notebook. Those both were shot in Charleston too when I moved out to LA. So it's like, I will say there is opportunity there. And that's what got me my start. And that's what taught me everything. I was at home writing and then driving 3-4 hours a day to Charleston or Wilmington or Columbia. My parents still live in Florence. My brother still lives in Florence. My little sister lives in Asheville. So my family's still there. Unfortunately, I've been so busy, I haven't got a chance to visit that much. But in general, shout out South Carolina. And like I said, they there's a community there, and you just got to put forth the effort, and that's what it is.
Yeah. That
Well,
hard work.
we're very proud to have this conversation with you, and I'm very happy to see that growth is still happening for you, and yeah, we look forward to seeing future projects from you. And don't forget, whenever you do make them, to submit them to Freedom Festival.
Definitely. Yeah.
We know the quality.
I owe you guys. I told you. Yeah, I told you. I got to come out. Not only do I got to bring one, but I got to come out there with it. So,
yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Right? You gotta see your parents,
Yeah.
so
Right.
Yeah.
come on
I owe
up
you
to
guys
Columbia.
for sure.
Can you let
definitely.
us, everybody know what links and stuff that they can follow you, so they can find out when the film is coming out?
Yeah, so you can go to MalibuHorrorStory.com right now. That should give you all your info. And if you go on Instagram, it's at Malibu Horror Story Movie. And then we're also Malibu Horror Story just launched on Facebook, and I think at Malibu Horror Story on TikTok as well. So they're kind of launching those other socials, but right now we're using the website and the Instagram to kind of get the word out. And pretty soon you'll see a ticketing site, and that ticketing site will have a place for you to put your zip code in and hopefully purchase tickets to go see the movie.
Awesome. I can't wait.
Awesome. Well, like I said, it was a pleasure having you on here, and we will reach out to you with any new information and following you as well. So
Yeah, absolutely.
so I appreciate it. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and close this one out and follow those links to follow him, to follow his film, to follow the family that he has with his film family. We like to consider him as part of our film family now. We may not be doing film together, but we're growing together in this
Not
industry.
yet.
So
Not yet.
yeah, You know what I'm saying? So-
Exactly.
so-
We'll be in South Carolina soon for sure.
right.
Yeah.
So thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you all next time. All right, y'all, take care.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you so much, Scott. And are you still recording?